Sorry about that. Essentially, Ryan has created a masterclass that's more specifically just about doing it niche. And so while people are trickling in, he's got some great content. Just take it in for what it is. And it's just going to kind of give us something to watch while people are trickling in and starting the and getting here to watch. So I'll hit play. If you have a problem with it and it's not working, just let me know.
This training gives you a starting point. You're going to want to keep drilling down into that persona for the rest of your time in the real estate business, because you're going to, it's like an onion. You're just going to keep peeling back the layers on this persona as you have interactions with prospects, as you talk to people, as you run clients that fit a persona through a transaction, etc., etc. And so you want to just keep peeling back the onion. The first part though, slice it open and get right in the middle. Target persona. This training isn't about finding a niche. We have deeper trainings about that. But for prospecting, I need you to understand the concept of niching and to understand why it's so important. Remember our triangle. We have style, substance, and system, but it all revolves around a given target persona. That person is in the middle, and our goal is to pick one of these personas to nail it down for prospecting, and then to pick the next one and the next one. Each time you pick a new persona, it will get easier because you'll be following a similar process and just making adjustments. There is one main mistake that happens in the real estate world, it happens in the insurance world, it happens in almost every single business world. And that is that businesses and business owners struggle to define a niche. Either they struggle because they're not sure who to pick, or they struggle because they're afraid of picking a narrow niche. And yet almost every coach will tell you that the key to starting, especially getting up to speed, getting up to revenue, getting the engines running, is to pick a niche, is to pick a narrow niche of people. It doesn't mean you're stuck with them. You're not marrying this niche, but what you are is dating this niche. And so people are afraid of focusing because they think it means they're walking away from all these other deals. I'm not suggesting you say no to those deals. I'm suggesting that you say yes to this type, that you're focused on them at least long enough to have deep understanding, that you've tested it and proven that you can engage with them in a way that makes them know, like, and trust you almost immediately. And that's the goal of this entire training, is to give you an approach to get people who are cold and strangers to know, like, and trust you enough that they want to connect with you, and then to provide them value so that that relationship will start to grow and flourish. Number two reason why they struggle is because they think they can multitask. And so while I do believe you can jump back and forth into different personas, when you are trying to launch one, you've got to give deliberate focus to that one persona. I'm going to give you a handful to pick from. I'm going to use them as we explain how to go about doing it to give you a jump start, but you've got to pick one area. Here's the problem. Without a niche, there's just too much to know. If you're brand new to real estate, there are 1,000 different variations of transactions, 1,000 different prospects with 1,000 different problems that are coming and going all over the place. And if you are not confident in what you know, then you're not going to show up as credible to the prospect. By limiting the focus down to one very specific small segment, it shrinks down how much you need to know to become an expert at it. That's the point here. Our point is to be able to be credible, to have substance. And if you stay too broad, there's just too much to know. So by focusing down, you'll be able to get credible and confident in the shortest amount of time. Number two, without a niche, without being willing to state it, people won't know who you help. Now, I get that you're saying, no, I tell people that I'm a real estate agent. I help people with real estate, buying and selling, blah, 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 blah. No. So does everybody else say that. There are a million real estate agents out there that can just help with the real estate transaction. What you're missing by not defining a niche is that real estate, the buy or the sell, is one small part of a bigger problem that you're helping solve. And when you define that problem and saying that real estate is one small part of it, you can speak to the actual problem. You see, somebody who decides to leave town and needs to sell the house, selling the house isn't the problem. The fact that selling the house stops them from leaving town and moving to their new house is the problem. It's a bigger journey that's happening here. So when you're willing to state who you help and why, you come across as the expert to the people you're talking to. If they're in your target, it says, hey, this person can help me specifically, not generally. Number two, if you're talking to somebody who might
Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, I just kind of thought we would do something that would give you guys something to watch while we're getting ready to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and get things kicked off. Ray is going to be managing the chat. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you're welcome to go ahead and put them into the chat comments and we will do our best to answer them. Today is day 2 of our Pulse strategy, and it is about understanding your client by listening to their pains, their fears, and their frustrations. And essentially what I hope you walk away with at the end of the day is that you understand what a niche is and help you kind of define the niche that you're working in, that you'll be able to identify and know the pains and the fears and the frustrations and the goals and aspirations of your target customer. And then understanding the customer journey and how we move those leads down the funnel and why we need to focus on top of the funnel activities as well as bottom of the funnel activities. So that's kind of what we're going to go about. Ray and I always have a difference of if you say niche or niche. Ray says niche and I say niche. And maybe you guys should comment in the comment section. It say a 1 for niche and a 2 for niche. I would love to know who, so 2, oh, we're 50-50 so far. Charlotte wants to know where we answer the membership questions. Those are just in when you ask to join the Facebook group. So if you found us on Zoom or more than likely, if you're getting these emails, you're already in the Facebook group. But okay, it's still like 50-50. So I guess we'll just say that we're all right. And it just depends on the day. But it really is true that the riches are in the niches. So that's why I say niche, because it rhymes with riches. But it is very hard to influence someone when you don't understand and you can't speak directly to their pains. And so by going in and finding that niche that you're going to focus on, Ryan was mentioning it in the other video of, you don't have to marry it. You don't have to marry the niche. We're just dating it for right now, because you can streamline your systems and your processes, and you can get more in depth and gain more knowledge in that one specific area that allows you to gain confidence so that you can then become that expert and you're not having to learn every single thing there is to know about commercial and different, like maybe senior communities, all these different things. If you can focus in on one specific thing, it allows you to become that expert and it gives you confidence around what you're doing. So in our group, I tend to ask people, I think it's actually one of my membership questions when you join our group is, what niche are you focusing on? And so often people say, well, I work with buyers or I work with sellers. And you'll see in our emails and all those things that Ray and I kind of harp on that, because that is not a niche. That is a spot on the customer journey. And so although we want to be able to help everyone, and as we're new agents and we're hungry, we don't want to turn down customers. And I'm not suggesting that you do turn down customers, but you need to be confident, kind of like what we were talking about yesterday as how you're showing up. You need to be confident in who your target customer is and how you're helping them, because it comes across in the way that you communicate. It will give your clients confidence in you when you have confidence in yourself. So go ahead and put in the comments. I know we gave this as homework yesterday to kind of think about that customer journey and tell us what you guys want to focus on. Charlotte says that she's working on first-time home buyers. I would love to just kind of hear what you guys are currently looking at being your niche. Veterans, that's a very good one. Very good. And there's lots of there's programs around that you can learn. There's yeah, just different messaging, relocation, you know, so even just like military in general is a very good niche. Marina investors, I love that. So I personally focus, I started working on relocation. And so I help people transition into different communities and get acclimated with the community. And then I also work with investors. If you'll remember yesterday, I was an investor myself, and so I have a lot of experience with that. So a lot of times if you're struggling on deciding what niche you're going to work in, use yourself or someone that you know well, that you can kind of have in your mind's eye when you're trying to think of content and all of those things about where they're at in the customer journey. So if you just recently, like Ray just recently moved into a brand new build home. And so that might be a really good niche for someone that experienced that to work on in the real estate because they just went through the process themselves. So I started focusing on the relocation niche because I moved to a new town and it was really frustrating. I didn't know what doctor to take my kids to. I didn't know what school districts were good. I didn't know what were the like good neighborhoods or the good schools. And I didn't know who to have, like if I wanted to have a house cleaner or a pest control company or, you know, all these different things that you have to find, a new hairstylist, a new massage therapist, a new chiropractor, like all of those things, you have to go and do all this research. And if you don't have a place to go and find it, it's very difficult. And so I started creating those resources as I was searching for them. And I realized how important it was for other people moving to town and that it really was, I was adding value, but in turn, I was getting customers from it. So today we're going to talk about 3 different personas. And hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of the process that we go through when we're thinking about deciding on a niche and how you're putting yourself in their shoes, okay? So our first persona today is Henry. He is a professional that's moving from out of state. He's single, he's looking for like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. But he likes that like vibe of being an entrepreneur. And so he wants to kind of be in like a downtown area, maybe where there's like coffee shops or remote work areas. He already has a great career and a job. And he's just looking to kind of be in a new community that will help him thrive. Our second persona is Sally, and she is a downsizer. Okay, so she has lived her life. She, you know, maybe raised a family, and her kids are now out of the house. She has stairs that she doesn't like, and so she's looking for like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, probably a condo, maybe in like a 55 and older community, or at least a community that has amenities where like your lawn care is taken care of. And maybe there's a pool or a pickleball court where she can go and meet friends and things like that. Because she doesn't want to have all of those responsibilities essentially. And then our third persona are Lindsay and Matt. Okay, these guys are first-time home buyers, and they maybe just recently got married, and they now have a baby on the way. The husband has this great new job, and they've decided that they finally can go ahead and pull the trigger and become a new and buy a new house. So they're looking for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. They want something that's relatively quiet, family friendly, maybe near some parks, that's not crazy far to like go to grocery stores and go out to eat. So if we were to take those 3 people as our target personas or our niches that we're going to work on, we need to understand their pains, okay? We need to know what it is that they are struggling with that's going to cause them to start looking for a home. What is going through their mind and what are they experiencing that starts them on that journey? Now, they're not at the bottom of the funnel yet. They might not be ready to put in a contract on a home, but there are steps in that funnel that this person is going to go through before they get there. So I've already put a few things on there, but I want to open it up to comments. Maybe just raise your hand, or if you want to unmute yourself, as long as you're not in like a, noisy background. I'd love to hear like, what would be some of the pains and the fears and the frustrations of someone, a professional like this, moving in from out of state to an area that he's never been to before? What would be some of his pains? Starbucks card for the first person that answers. All right. I don't know. Are we doing comments or are we doing actual like verbal?
We have a couple comments.
Yes. So safe neighborhoods. They're unfamiliar with the area that he's moving into. They want to know about crime. They want to know maybe like what religion is predominant there, or if their church is there, what the social life is like, if they aren't. So this guy's single, so he might want to know, like, is there a good single network? Is there a good vibe like on the weekends where you can go downtown and like watch live music and like meet new people? Those are all great. What else? What coffee shops are good? Exactly.
I think too, we don't really know about any of his hobbies, like what he
Yes.
likes to do. Like, let's say he likes to play pickleball or go skiing. Is that something that he's wanting near him,
what recreation is nearby, if he has interests like boating or hiking.
It makes a
Okay.
big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. People like that have income and, maybe don't have as many expenses. They probably are kind of a foodie. And so they'll probably want to know about like, what are the good restaurants to go to, things like that. He likes coffee. Yes, he does.
That's a hobby in itself. Okay.
Exactly. Pretty much. It is for us. So I like never leave my house, but then
I
we'll
know.
randomly just like go get coffee because we haven't seen like other people for 4 days. So
Yeah.
it's no
They say
longer
that
totally-
Starbucks is a social thing instead of actually the coffee itself.
It is.
Yeah.
Very true.
Maybe that's why he likes the coffee shops page. You're right.
All right. Let's move on to Sally. Okay. So she is, it definitely is, right? Tamisa, is that how you say your name? It for sure is a social, a social experiment, or just like, it's one of those, like, it probably gives you some type of like a dopamine rush or something too.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure.
they've done
Ryan-
studies and it's dopamine.
Ryan always says, he's like, there's something different. Like, I know Coca-Cola used to have like Coke in their Coke. I'm pretty sure they're doing that with Starbucks too, something to make us all want to come back. All right, so let's talk about Sally. So she's a downsizer. She is wanting to come into a different area, maybe a 55 and older community. What are the challenges and the concerns that's happening before she decides that? What things is she going through? What questions is she asking that is going to maybe have her considering this move? For me, this was my parents. So I knew it very well. They just went through this experience. So, yeah, maybe having to downsize and like what the process is, if there's like an estate sale areas, or if there's maybe great donation places that she can do, or how to sell things on Facebook, would be maybe questions that she would have. She's concerned about being alone and having too much yard to take care of. Let's see. So she might be, okay, so close proximity to family. That's obviously going to be one of her internal like triggers. We want to think about, again, like things that we can help find the answers to. So obviously being close to family is great, but you as the real estate agent don't have any control over that. But you do have control over the fact of the top 10 55 and older communities in your area and the amenities that they have. You have information on a senior social network that gets together once a month for brunch. You might have information on a pickleball club that is for women only, and they do a like linger longer and do a little like go out to eat after their pickleball tournament every Monday morning. So you, again, we're thinking about what information can we get them that's helping them get the answers to their questions, which in turn pushes them down the funnel. So this Sally up here is not a bottom of funnel activity. Okay. She still owns the house, which is perfect, because then typically a person like this, you may get the listing and the buy out of it. But she's still in her big house. She's still there, and her mortgage is maybe paid off, or doesn't own have a ton of debt involved with it. So there's not a ton of like force behind her decision making. So we need to figure out, again, sometimes our job is to ask the questions that they should be asking. So if, again, like we could do a marketing campaign in an area, there are services out there. Again, we can tell you about some of the services and softwares that we work with. But for example, I was working on this niche for one of the agents on my team. And we went and gathered data and did almost like a farm of larger homes. So homes that were over 3,000 square feet, that were not brand new. So we knew that they had lived there for a certain amount of time. And we pulled the data on the homeowners, the age of the owner, and the equity that they had in their home. And those things are all key indicators of whether or not this person may or may not move. And so once we gathered all that data, then we started doing a mailing campaign. We use a handwritten note service where essentially it's literally written with a real pen. And essentially it goes directly to the homeowner. We know their names, and it says, "Hey, Sally, I know a lot of people that are in your neighborhood, maybe in the point where they are considering downsizing and maybe finding something that has all of your maintenance and things like that taken care of. I thought you might be interested to know that there are 10 amazing 55 and older communities within 10 minutes of your home here. Go ahead and scan this QR code, and I'll send you to a blog post where I unpack the pros and cons of each of these neighborhoods." Does that sound like something that someone might look at that's in that experience and say, that's interesting. I'm tired of mowing the lawn every week. I didn't really realize I was, but yeah, like I'm 65. Why am I mowing my own lawn? Like that's crazy. And so you're poking those pains. You're poking and agitating the things that are going to push them further down the funnel. All right, first time home buyers. So what are some of the things that Matt and Lindsay, I think was her name. What things are they experiencing? What stage of life are they at? What's going on that they maybe haven't thought about buying a house yet, but they're at a stage where they probably could. So what things could we ask, or what information could we give that would help them down that process in their customer journey? We'll have to go back. I think the last comment was it, I can't remember who the first was, it like Shayla or someone did our first comment last time. If you could make sure you write those down, Ray, and we'll send them a gift card. All right, so Leah, thank you for participating. Are they working? It's a long-term job. They're asking, okay, they want to know, how much do I need for a down payment? Are there programs out there that allow me to purchase a home, with almost zero down? Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially as real estate agents, if you have been in the home buying process yourself several times before you became a real estate agent, and then even more when you are doing this all day, every day, it's it's sometimes hard for us to not realize that we have this curse of knowledge, and that what things that become second nature to us that we've done hundreds of times is not second nature to them. So the step-by-step process of what goes into buying a home, what an inspection is, what a homeowner's policy looks like, what to look for in your title report. I started a brokerage in Montana and back in 2015, and this was one of the things that I did. I focused specifically on first-time home buyers, and I created events. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that this is the strategy like right this second, because I think that times have changed a lot. But just to kind of give you an idea, I created a first-time home buyer seminar. And what I did was I went out and I found the people that are involved in the first-time home buyers transaction. So I got an appraiser, I got an insurance agent, I got a lender, and a title person. And they were all panelists, and they were all more than willing to come. They actually all helped me put it on. So some of them provided food, some of them provided swag, some of them provided me a budget for advertising. And we did it in the evening. I rented out just like a small little room at a hotel, and we did a panel, and we asked people questions, or we allowed people to ask questions, and we just sat there and we walked through the entire transaction of, okay, if you are going to buy a first-time home, what is the first step? So if you guys are new here, hopefully I want you guys to put in the comments what you think the first step is for your first-time home buyer. What should they be doing first before they go and start searching for property and fall in love with something? Exactly. Patrice, thank you. Pre-approval, pre-approval, pre-approval. So going to the bank and figuring out where you're at on whether or not you qualify for these programs is great. But now, like Ryan, my fiance and business partner and all the things, he helps job seekers find jobs. So one of the things that we're working on right now is a lot of people want to buy a home. They know that that should be the next step in their journey, but the way that minimum wage is right now, and the way that inflation and minimum wage are not keeping up with each other, more than likely they're going to need to get a side hustle in order to get into that first home. So for example, maybe you're targeting college students. So maybe you decide to create a Facebook group of considering buying my first home in Fresno, California, whatever the area is. So we're going to create this Facebook group, and we're going to start sharing information that would be helpful for people that are thinking about that next step in their journey. So we're going to give them information about how to get pre-approved. We're going to maybe post jobs there or ideas, share a blog post of the 15 best ways to earn an extra $1,000 a month as a side hustle for under 5 hours a week. Or again, just sharing different posts from local communities. You're able to like go and network with people around your areas. Maybe decide to host a seminar or host a virtual seminar and go and interview an appraiser or interview a home inspector and ask them to go through the things of what should I look for when I'm going through a home. Are there any red flags that I need to pay attention to that's going to make it so that I don't qualify for a VA loan? So that's a really good one, especially if you're working in like the VA or first-time home buyers. The criteria for the lending is a lot more strict, and obviously we can't, portray ourselves as a lender, but we are supposed to be the expert. And so if we go to a home and see that there's chipped and peeling paint everywhere, and we full well know that it's not going to pass an FHA inspection or a VA inspection, that's great information that we can give them and we can share with our customer prior to them actually pulling the trigger and going and looking for homes. Let's see, I give them a list of local events happening in the area. Yes, that's perfect. And that works for everything. So it doesn't just have to be your first time home buyers. So think of that from like Sally. So you could also start a Facebook group of community events for seniors. Okay, that might be a really great group that someone could start and start sharing and adding value to, that you're just showing up as the helpful guide. You are helping this target customer in their life, not in their home buying journey. You're helping them with their pains, their fears, their frustrations, with everything. A first-time home buyer that has a baby on the way, finding them the right, OBGYN or the right midwife is helping them just as much as getting them pre-approved for a loan. And so you need to separate yourself from that transaction. Don't make yourself a transactional real estate agent. You want to help them by genuinely helping them. And in turn, the transactions will come. But if you can approach this with a value-based approach of just sharing information and guiding your customer, they will learn to know, like, and trust you, so that when they have moved themselves far enough down that funnel, or you have helped by your content and your marketing, you've pushed them down the funnel, the natural thing is for them to come to you when they're ready to make that next step. Does that make sense? I want everyone to put like a heck yes or hell yes in the comments, depending on your level of edginess. Ryan's laughing at me in the background. All right. We're talking about triggering events. Do you want to come and talk to people about a triggering event?
Triggering event?
Yes. Or do you have a call that starts in 2 minutes?
No. I'll talk about triggering events. I love triggering events. So triggering events are hard because we tend to think that all of us were raised in a school system where we were looking for the right answer. So when somebody brings up something like this, like triggering event, you're like, oh my gosh, pick me, I need the right answer. And the answer is, it's not that simple. And so instead of thinking about, say, like your niche, while we're trying to make these buckets, it's not going to be perfect, because a first-time home buyer could also be a first-time home buyer who's also having a baby, and a first-time home buyer could be a single person who is 40 years old and just needs their own space. And so it's not that easy. But when we think about triggering events, the easiest thing to do is pick a starting point, get in mind a user, right? Your persona, your target, and then find some spot along the journey and just start pulling the yarn, right? Both backwards and forwards. So wherever I start, let's say a first-time home buyer, I could say, okay, they're buying their first home. I now have a starting point. That isn't the starting point. It's just a point along the journey. Just find some point. The transaction might be the easiest place to start, because generally I want to use a real example, like a real person. So I go, okay, who was the last first-time home buyer that I sold to? Awesome. There's my transaction. I'm going to follow the line both forward and backwards. We start with backwards to find our triggering event and go, okay, well, what came before they bought?
Well, they started looking. What came before they started looking? Oh, well, they, etc. You were just talking about this a second
Yeah,
ago.
it's very easy to help to create that customer journey. So get out a piece of paper and like map out those customer journeys. Like we just got engaged. And so like that is a triggering event. Like find, maybe a divorce is a triggering event. There are things that happen in people's lives. Having your kids move out and becoming an empty nester is a triggering event. But if you can think of that person and actually like they have a name and you like know someone in your life that's experiencing that, it's first of all, you can go and interview them. Like that's amazing content. Go hit voice record and go and talk to them and be like, hey, Ryan, like you're a tech entrepreneur and you owned a home and you were wanting to sell it. What things were important to you when you decided that you wanted to sell your house? What were some of the pains that you were worried about when you wanted to sell your home?
Right. And you're taking each of those steps. So you go, what was the step before this? And then you stop at that step and you're going to ask questions. And the questions you ask at that step was, okay, so what were your fears and frustrations? And what were your wants and aspirations? So what was the pain? What was the goal? What were your questions? What, if you had gone to Google, what would you have been searching for? If you'd gone to Facebook in a group and asked a question, what would the question have been that you asked? And so then I'm just documenting all of this knowledge about what was in there. Really what I'm trying to figure out is what's in their head. What's in their head at that moment in time? And then once I know that, I'm like, okay, well, let's go to the step before that. So you take, for instance, us getting engaged as a good example. In the wedding world, there's a whole bunch of potential vendors in that world. There's the people who have a wedding venue. Well, the wedding venue triggering event is you getting engaged, but technically it's when you decide your date and what the experience is like. That actually comes after getting engaged. So if we take like getting married as this string of events, we go, okay, you get married. Before that, you plan a wedding. Well, in between the planning, you actually pick a venue, you pick food, you find a wedding planner. Well, what happens before that? You actually get engaged. What happens before you get engaged? Well, you buy a diamond. What happens before that? Well, you actually start dating. You probably have a conversation. So if I was selling, say, wedding venues, then my triggering event, it might be good enough to go back to, let me find out all the engagement announcements. When somebody gets engaged, that triggers, you're going to look for a wedding planner, you're going to whatever. And so my content would be the 10 things to think about right after you get engaged.
Let's switch back to the house. And so they're like, why are we talking about weddings? I'm so
Because you
confused.
brought it up. So, but if we go back to a house, that same thing happens. Like, I mean, I can make it even more outrageous if you're like, well, the triggering, my niche is people who are expanding their family because they're having a baby. Awesome. Well, let's pull that string back. What happens before you have a baby? Well, clearly you're pregnant. What happens before you get pregnant? Well, clearly you have sex. And what happens before you have sex? Apparently you date. And along that way, you might be like, well, women get baby hungry, or men, and they go to baby shows and they look at baby shower stuff and they look at baby TikTok videos. And so you just keep going back to those. And I know it sounds outrageous, but we look for the easy answer. But trust me, the longer you'll sit in the outrageousness of pulling that thread, the better you'll get at being able to go backwards into the transaction of what happened before that. What were they thinking? Why were they thinking it? What happened before that? Well, their mom was nagging them about when are they going to give her a grandchild. Like literally that sounds outrageous, but that is a triggering event of a new couple having a baby and then buying a house.
For sure.
And if you believe marketing and sales is really just me guiding you through a psychological journey along with a physical journey, that psychology is the emotional drivers of marketing and buying. The physical part's the easy part. I want a house. I want it to be white. I want gold knobs on my cabinets. Like that's the easy part. You want to really get into your target market. Think about the psychology behind why they want it to look a certain way, why it bothers them that their mom is nagging them about having a grandchild. Like those types of pieces of content, when you can state those, really endear yourself to the prospect because it proves your level of empathy, which is, at least for me in the marketing world, that is my superpower, empathy, my ability to get into somebody else's point of view and state a pain or state a problem or state a question in their words. And so when you're doing that exercise, like get super outrageous with it, because some of this, like, we want to jump right to the pull the trigger. And in actuality, like, you guys have no idea how much time I've spent on the framework of that journey. Like, literally, I set up a spook alley for chipmunks this morning, and I have walked my chipmunk buyer's journey from, well, where did they at before they came here? Why is it they come here each day at lunch? Do they sleep in? Where are they coming
Oh
from?
my gosh.
And so
I
you
can't
follow
with
that
him.
journey because it's outrageous. But literally, that is the mind of a master marketer, is they really do apply these frameworks to everything in life, not just real estate, to dating, to kids, to getting married, to having babies, to buying cars, to chipmunk feeding patterns, to religious growth. All those things have a psychological triggering event and a journey that happens. And the more you recognize them all around you, the more creative you'll get with coming up with the solutions to it.
We're gonna send you guys a
I'm good.
chipmunk video so that you don't think he's completely crazy. We have chipmunk friends and I will send you the video. So, but going back to what Ryan was saying and talking about like interviewing people that are in that experience and listening to the questions that they have. Tomorrow, as we unpack our lead generation strategy, we're going to be talking more in depth about Facebook groups. But even today, as you're in there and you know, maybe go and join a couple of groups in your area if you're not already, I want you to go in and listen to the questions that the people in your community are asking. Not about home buying, just in general. Look for the questions that people are asking. So find a group. I live in Southern Utah and we have like 85 billion different groups. Some of them are a mom's group where it's just kind of like a recommendations type area. We've got some classified groups. We've got like a, you know, word of mouth group, things like that. So go find a few of those groups. And I want you to go in and listen to the questions that the people are asking. So let's see. I want to make sure we have enough time to like wrap everything up. Also with Ryan, just so you guys are aware, that very beginning clip that I showed at the beginning here is part of a little masterclass that we put together. If some of the stuff that he said resonates with you, we actually have an 8-hour masterclass that we will at the end here, we'll kind of show you some different things that we have available, and we will be offering that as a free like bonus that you'll get access to that masterclass. So just so you're aware, that's available out there. And someone else asked if we were going to like provide a copy of this, and yes, everything will be put into the Facebook group for replays and things like that. So what I want you guys to walk away with here today is what I call your customer value proposition. Okay. So you're going to, and this kind of goes into like your pitch as well. And I have a whole, if you guys want more from what we did yesterday, we also have a whole class on your pitch and nailing your elevator pitch of, again, when you are given that like 30 seconds of what do, you have something to say that allows you to understand their pains, to like tell them what they might be struggling with, and then how you help them solve that. So we use this little framework here of I help so-and-so. So let's go ahead and just like do this as a group, like Mad Libs exercise. Okay. So what niche do we want to choose? I help who? Come on, people. We've got another Starbucks gift card. Ray, are you paying attention to who's commenting?
Yes, I am. Watching it like a hawk.
First time home buyers.
First
Okay.
one.
So I help people that are considering purchasing their first home to what are we going to help them with? I help home buyers and referral partners by giving them high communication Georgia mortgage process in Florida. Okay, with time efficient closings. Okay, so Bill here, it looks like he's in the mortgage industry. That's great. So again, this is this statement. I want you to be very careful about not being pitchy. Okay, so we are trying to state their pains and put it in their, like, again, that it's speaking to them. So let's see, if we're using first-time home buyers, like, I'm trying to think of like the situation that you would be in, but maybe you're at, like, I'm always at pickleball. So again, I play with college kids all the time that are like, students here. And so when one of them, again, I never tell them that I'm a real estate agent, but I ask very good questions. And so inevitably, someone is going to ask me what I do. And so if I was talking to a college student, I would say, you know how people your age, like, they think that homeownership is the next step, but they're not really sure how to go about it. Well, I actually help young entrepreneurs to decide whether or not buying their first home is right for them by, then what are we going to do? What value are we going to provide? By showing them the step-by-step process of what's involved in the home buying process, and also show them a program where they can actually rent to own and get pre-approved faster while building their credit and getting into a home right now. So we have a program that we work with that essentially helps first-time home buyers. It helps them build their credit. They get to find a house that they want to buy, identify it. The company will buy their home for them. They start paying their rent payments to the company, and they take a portion of those payments and they put it towards a down payment. And within 3 years, they are able to buy that home from the company. They've taken part of their rents and use it as equity. And they have built their credit with on-time payments because their payments get reported to the credit bureau. Okay. So if I had that information and I was going to help and be like talking to someone, you could say something along the lines of, I help people that don't know whether or not home buying is the right step for them, to help them make an informed choice by giving them programs and services and knowledge around the home buying process without all the pain and sacrifice of getting declined and getting frustrated by by falling in love with a home and not having the right steps in place. Okay, that obviously is, I'm just randomly throwing something out there. So as you use this little template, you'll be able to nail it down. You'll be able to make it more concise. You can go and give it to your kids as a little pitch and say, does this sound good? Go and talk to your sister and give her that pitch over and over again and see if it resonates with them. And hone in on the best way to say that in a value giving approach that is not salesy. Their desire is not to get a house under contract with you as their real estate agent. That is not their desire. That is not their pain. Does that make sense?
Well, and to go on top of that, Sarah, something that's really easy that you can do just to know what people are searching for on Google is to just go to Google, type in, let's say, like home buying, and you can see the first like top 10 searches of what people are actually using, like the verbiage that people are using. Most people aren't going to be using like the word efficient. They'll probably type fast into Google, like things like that, like home buying. I just typed it into Google. The first couple are home buying process, home buying tips, home buying checklists, like just things like that. So if you're ever wondering how to search and rank for SEO, that's a good tip for you.
So Ray, can you talk a little bit about that? So, obviously what we want for you guys to do is to have content to create. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what could they be sharing? Like what type of social media could they share that would help someone that was considering buying a home? What information could they be posting out there of tips and tricks and things like that that would that's not pitchy, it's not salesy of, hey, come buy your first house with me, but here's some information that you might be interested in.
Yeah. So if you guys are on like Instagram or TikTok, I know it's like a whole new world, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. But they are also search engines. You could do exactly what I just said for Google onto any of these search engines. You could type in home buying and you could see what people are actually searching for. And then I would just go through those videos and see like what is resonating with people, what is the top view for the week. And it is exactly what Sarah's saying. No one that is ranking in the top is saying like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Like none of them. They're usually pinpointing a pain of some sort, like, hey, does your garbage stink or something? Here's like the best smelling bags that I've found. And it's something that doesn't even say anything about like, hey, I'm an agent, but it's just a tip. And they're going to come to you as like, oh, this person's valuable and they're credible, and you're going to build that rapport with people.
And have it be something that you're interested in. Again,
Yeah.
for me, I love decorating. Like I love like having a beautiful home that has like very, aesthetically pleasing things. And so it's like, I can go on and share like interior design things and like my Amazon lists of where I get certain things and little upgrades that I've done to my home. All of those things are adding value to my customers, because think about it, we only buy a home every 7, I'm terrible with numbers, but every 7 years or whatever it is. Like you want to provide value, not just when they're ready to buy a house. And so if you're literally doing nothing but saying like, here's a new listing, if you haven't bought a house yet, come and talk to me, come get pre-approved, all those things, like I wouldn't watch that. I'm super particular about what I put in front of my face in social media. And if someone was pitching me a house every single day, I would block the crap out of them.
Well, something that is so interesting, Sarah, I think I told you about this girl like 6 months ago, but I found a girl on TikTok who's a real estate agent and I loved her approach. She started posting about like recipes that she was finding, like day in the lives, like outfits that realtors were wearing, and she blew up. She has like over 1 million followers now. And my friend sent me a text message last night and was like, hey, I just made this girl's chicken, and she reposted like from that realtor. And I was like, that's so funny. Like it just comes full circle, but it's true. You have to find things that really are just things that you're passionate about. So it just is second nature to post those things.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Okay, so this is your homework. I want you to write out your value proposition and come prepared tomorrow to post it in the group. We can maybe have a discussion around it. We will be sending out the replays here, and we will add some other links and some of the stuff that we've talked about today as well. And tomorrow we are going to be talking about Facebook groups and lead generation strategies that we can help you create so that you can start generating some leads for free, which is even better. We'll talk about some paid strategies too, but it's going to be a great day. Tomorrow will be a lot of like the nuts and bolts of what we do. So make sure you check your email. I would like to open it up for questions. If you have anything, we are here and ready to answer your questions. And I would like to hear in the comments if this was helpful and what your key takeaway was. What's one thing that you learned today? And then I also would like you to commit to going in. How many of you out there that are watching are members of our New Agent Tips and Tricks group? I would love to know if you are a part there, if that's where you heard about it. Anyway, I would really appreciate it if you guys would be willing to go into that group and make a comment and just tell us about your experience today, if you enjoyed it, if you feel like it was worth your time. Again, I've offered everyone that feels like I've wasted their time, I will buy them a Starbucks. So if they come and they think it was stupid, we'll at least give them a little bit of value back. Very helpful information. All right, thank you, Paige. Sophia, does anyone have any specific questions? Extremely helpful. Niches are huge, part of tailoring and contribution and expertise. Perfect. So yeah, tomorrow, create content based on needs, building Facebook groups to serve people, building and becoming our local guide to share your knowledge, and just other aspects of the marketing funnel is what we will be talking about tomorrow. So we really appreciate your time, and thanks for being here, and hopefully you'll be able to come back tomorrow. Let people know in the group that, do you guys feel like watching it live is more helpful than going back and watching a video later? Tell them to come next time. All right. Well, thanks so much, you guys. Have a fantastic day.